off. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. When I was young, I thought life was about proving myself. I believed that standing out meant showing off. But life has a way of teaching us lessons we didn't ask for, often through moments of struggle and self-discovery. It wasn't until I faced some of my toughest challenges that I realized this truth: you don't need to show off to shine. In fact, your most brilliant light often comes from the quiet moments of authenticity, resilience, and humility. Authenticity is where it starts. We live in a world that constantly tempts us to seek validation from others. Social media makes us believe our worth is tied to likes and follows. But the truth is, your value doesn't come from what others see, it comes from who you are when no one's watching. Let your life speak through your actions. If you're running a race, let your strides show your strength, not your words. If you're creating something meaningful, let the work speak for itself. I remember a time when I thought I needed to pretend everything was perfect. But then life threw me a curveball that forced me to embrace my imperfections. It was terrifying, but it was also liberating. I realized that being vulnerable doesn't make you weak, it makes you relatable, approachable, human. And when you allow yourself to be human, you inspire others to do the same. Challenges come to all of us. Sometimes they knock us flat on our backs, but here's the thing about those moments: they're not the end of your story. They're the beginning of a new one. When you focus less on proving yourself and more on growing yourself, you become unstoppable. And as you grow, remember this: the world doesn't need more people shouting for attention. It needs more people who are willing to lift others up. Imagine what would happen if we spent as much time celebrating someone else's victory as we do chasing our own applause. In the end, humility and quiet confidence will carry you further than any boast ever could. You don't need to tell the world how great you are when you live with purpose and passion. The world will notice. Your true power lies in authenticity. There's a moment in life when you realize that the masks we wear don't just hide us from the world, they hide us from ourselves. I remember that moment for me. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't staged, it was raw, messy, and real. And in that moment, I discovered something that changed my life forever. Your true power doesn't come from what you pretend to be, it comes from who you truly are. We live in a world that tells us to perform, to be bigger, bolder, and louder than we actually feel. Social media shows us the highlights of everyone else's life, and we're left wondering if we'll ever measure up. But let me tell you something: what makes you extraordinary isn't how you compare to someone else. It's the parts of you that are real, even if they're messy, even if they're imperfect, especially if they're imperfect. I want you to imagine a stained glass window. If you've ever seen one, you know that it's not perfect. It's not one single sheet of pristine glass. It's a collection of broken pieces, different colors, shapes, and sizes, all brought together to create something breathtakingly beautiful. That's what authenticity is. It's owning all of your pieces, the shiny ones, the cracked ones, the ones you wish you could hide, and letting them come together to create the masterpiece that is you. When I was faced with challenges that tested every ounce of my strength, there were moments I wanted to hide. I thought, if people see the real me, will they still believe in me? But then I realized something profound: people don't connect with perfection. They connect with truth. Think about the people who inspire you the most. Are they the ones who seem to have it all together, or are they the ones who let you see their struggles and show you how they rise above them? True power isn't about putting on a show. It's about standing in your truth even when it's hard and saying, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. When you're authentic, you give others permission to do the same. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room. One small flame can ignite 1,000 others, not by overpowering them, but by showing them it's possible to shine. Let your actions speak louder than words. There's a phrase we've all heard before: actions speak louder than words, but how often do we truly live by it? It's easy to talk about our goals, to describe our dreams, and to share our plans with the world. But words, no matter how eloquent, will never hold the weight of a single action taken with intention and purpose. I learned this the hard way. There was a time in my life when I felt like I needed to explain myself to everyone. I wanted people to understand my journey, to see my vision, to believe in what I was working toward. But as I stood there explaining, I realized something: the people who mattered weren't listening to my words, they were watching my steps. That's the thing about action. It doesn't need to be justified or embellished. It carries a quiet, undeniable power. You don't have to convince someone you're strong when they see you get back up after a fall. You don't have to explain that you're determined when they watch you push forward despite the obstacles. In a world full of noise, social media posts, hashtags, and constant chatter, there's something profoundly impactful about letting your actions do the talking. It's not about showing off, it's about showing up. Showing up for your dreams, for the people who believe in you, and most importantly, for yourself. Think about the most inspiring people you know. They're not the ones who brag about their success, they're the ones who live it. They're the ones who move forward with purpose, not needing to shout their intentions because their actions tell the story. Your journey doesn't need a press release. It needs commitment, it needs consistency, and it needs courage. Every small step you take toward your goal speaks volumes. Every challenge you overcome sends a message louder than any words could ever express. When I faced my own trials, I realized that people weren't inspired by my explanations, they were inspired by what I did next. Did I sit in my pain, or did I find a way to rise? Did I dwell on what I lost, or did I focus on what I could still achieve? Those actions, those choices became my voice. They told the world, this is who I am. Watch me. And here's the beautiful thing: when you let your actions lead, you inspire others to do the same. You become a living example of what's possible. You remind people that they don't need to explain their dreams, they just need to start chasing them. Vulnerability is strength. There's a misconception that vulnerability is weakness, that showing the cracks in your armor means you're fragile or unworthy. But what I've learned is that vulnerability isn't the absence of strength, it's the truest, most courageous form of it. I think about it, it's easy to put on a mask, to pretend you have everything figured out, to present a polished version of yourself to the world. That's what we're often taught to do. But it takes real bravery to stand there open and unguarded and say, this is me. The real me. I'll never forget the first time I had to embrace vulnerability. It wasn't by choice, it was life forcing me to confront it. I had spent so much time trying to hide my struggles, thinking that if people saw my pain or my fear, they wouldn't believe in me. But the moment I let those walls down, something incredible happened. Instead of pushing people away, I found they were drawn closer. That's the power of vulnerability. It creates connection. It says to others, I see you because I've been there too. It's an invitation for others to drop their guard and be real alongside you. Here's what we forget: our humanity is not in our perfection. It's in our flaws, our missteps, and the moments we fall apart. And when we can embrace those moments, we become unshakable. Because the truth is, you can't truly know your strength until you've faced your fears. You can't understand courage until you've been scared, and you can't truly inspire others until you're willing to show them the parts of you that aren't perfect. Vulnerability isn't about oversharing or putting your pain on display. It's about being honest with yourself and with the people around you. It's about admitting when you're struggling, but also believing in your ability to rise. It's about saying, I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to keep going anyway. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most connected to someone. Was it when they boasted about their achievements, or was it when they shared a story of failure, of heartbreak, of perseverance? Vulnerability is what builds bridges. It's what reminds us that we're not alone. For me, vulnerability became my strength the day I stopped fighting it. The day I realized that my story wasn't just about the highs, it was about the lows that taught me how to climb higher. The day I understood that being open about my fears didn't diminish my strength, it magnified it. When you embrace vulnerability, you unlock a power you didn't know you had. It's the power to heal, to inspire, and to connect in ways you never thought possible. Life's challenges shape true character. It's easy to look at challenges as roadblocks, as the things that stand in the way of who we want to be or what we want to accomplish. But the truth is, life's challenges are not here to stop us. They're here to shape us. They're the fires that forge the steel of our character, the storms that teach us how to stand strong. I know this because I've lived it. I've faced moments in my life that felt impossible, moments when it seemed like the ground had disappeared from beneath me. At first, I wanted to fight the challenges, to push them away, to cling to what felt safe and familiar. But what I've learned is that the only way out of a storm is through it. And on the other side, you're never the same. You're stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Here's the thing about challenges: they don't define you, but how you respond to them does. They force you to make a choice. You can let them break you, or you can let them build you. And while you can't always control what happens to you, you can control what you do with it. I think of challenges like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble. Each setback, each struggle, each failure is another strike of the chisel, removing what isn't needed and revealing the masterpiece within. It's painful in the moment, but it's necessary for transformation. When I look back at my own life, I realize that the moments I thought would destroy me were actually the moments that defined me. They taught me patience when I wanted immediate answers. They taught me courage when I wanted to give in to fear. They taught me that strength isn't about avoiding pain, it's about finding the beauty within it. But here's the thing: you don't realize the lessons while you're in the middle of the challenge. It's messy and it's hard, and sometimes it feels endless. It's only when you look back that you see the growth. That's when you realize, wow, I didn't just survive, that I became someone stronger because of it. Think about the people who inspire you most. Are they the ones who had an easy road, or are they the ones who faced incredible odds and rose anyway? That's what challenges do. They don't just test us, they reveal us. They show us what we're capable of when we refuse to quit. What's amazing is that every challenge brings with it a gift, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. Sometimes the gift is a lesson. Sometimes it's a new perspective. Sometimes it's the realization that you're so much stronger than you ever imagined. But you only find that gift when you choose to lean into the challenge instead of running from it. The truth is, life isn't about avoiding the storms. It's about learning to dance in the rain, to find grace in the chaos, and to trust that each step forward is shaping you into the person you are meant to be. Celebrate others to elevate yourself. There's a magic that happens when you stop seeing life as a competition and start seeing it as a collaboration. When you let go of the need to be the loudest voice or the brightest star, you begin to realize something incredible. Celebrating others doesn't diminish your light, it amplifies it. I remember a time in my life when I was so focused on my own goals that I didn't notice the beauty in the people around me. I thought success was a solo journey, that my achievements were mine to fight for alone. But then something shifted. I started paying attention to the victories of the people I cared about. And instead of feeling threatened or left behind, I began to feel inspired, even uplifted. That's the thing about celebrating others: it creates connection. It transforms relationships from transactional to transformational. Because when you cheer for someone else's success, you're not just lifting them up, you're also opening your own heart. Life isn't about being the best, it's about bringing out the best in each other. Think about it. Have you ever had someone genuinely root for you with no strings attached? How did it make you feel? It's empowering, isn't it? That kind of support reminds you that you're not alone, that someone believes in your dreams just as much as you do. Now imagine being that person for someone else. Imagine being the one who says, I see you, I'm proud of you, keep going. That's the kind of impact that lasts. That's the kind of energy that comes back to you tenfold. Here's the beautiful part: when you celebrate others, you're not just helping them grow, you're also growing yourself. You're learning to let go of jealousy and comparison, to recognize that someone else's success doesn't take away from your own. Instead, it adds to it, because when we lift each other up, we all rise higher. I've seen this happen in my own life. I've watched people achieve things I once dreamed of, and instead of feeling like I was falling behind, I chose to celebrate their victories as if they were my own. And what I discovered is that celebrating others doesn't leave you empty, it fills you with joy, inspiration, and a deeper sense of purpose. Celebration is contagious. It's like a ripple in a pond. When you take the time to acknowledge someone's effort, to applaud their success, that energy spreads. It encourages them to keep going, and it reminds you that success isn't a finite resource. There's enough for all of us. The world doesn't need more critics, it needs more cheerleaders. It needs people who aren't afraid to say, "You're amazing. Keep shining." When you can step outside your own ego and genuinely celebrate someone else, you discover a kind of freedom. You're no longer tied to the need to outshine anyone. You're part of something bigger. And here's the secret: the more you celebrate others, the more they'll celebrate you. Because when you create a culture of encouragement and support, it comes back to you in ways you never expected. The quiet confidence of humility. There's a power in humility that